Hey guys, welcome to the Marty Smith podcast on Outsider. We're renaming it, just so you guys know. We don't even really have a real name yet, I don't think, but we're renaming it. It was The Road You Leave Behind. We're going to kind of rebrand it coming up here, but the content is still, if I do say so myself, spectacular. And that includes today. It's another great interview on episode 9 with Dustin Lynch. I've been a fan of Dustin's since the first time I heard Cowboys and Angels. I know a lot of you guys are huge fans of his too. Tremendous success commercially that he's enjoyed in his career in Nashville. But like so many artists, it's such a unique climb. Everybody has their own unique path to getting to that place if they're fortunate enough and blessed enough to ever get to that place. And now he's in this position where his current single, Thinking About You, with Mackenzie Porter, is the fastest rising single of his career. You'll hear him discuss that on this interview, along with that path, how music was injected into his life, the artists that impacted him as a young man. I didn't know anything about his sports career, nothing. I'd never, as much as I studied for this podcast interview, I didn't know anything about the fact that he was considering the PGA Tour and was a scratch golfer as a young man. Who knew? I didn't. And you're going to find out about it right now on the Marty Smith podcast here on Outsider Media. Enjoy. What a tremendous conversation with Dustin Lynch. There he is. What's up, Hoss?
How's everybody doing?
Man, we're fabulous, dude. I appreciate your time this morning, brother. Thank you.
Thank you. This is an honor to be a part of this. Thank you, guys.
Is that your house?
Yeah, this is the living room back here.
Good looking crib, dude. You can't hide paper, bro. You can try. You can't do it.
I'm really enjoying it. I'm on the water here in Nashville, and we have an absolute blast.
What lake?
Especially this time. Old Hickory.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
So Lainey and I, my family, we live on Lake Norman in Charlotte.
Love it.
We almost, I say almost, she's sitting right over here. We're at our beach place in South Jersey right now. She's over here right beside me. She might roll her eyes, but we had a situation where that house we live in now, we moved into 3 years ago, and we may or may not have gotten in. And all our stuff was already on trucks. So I looked at her and I said, if we don't get into this house, we're moving to Nashville. We're going to live on Old Hickory Lake. How about that?
Oh, wow.
That's cool, almost man. That's a gorgeous area. I love it there.
It is. It is. It's far enough outside of town too, where I feel like I kind of get a little bit of escape.
Sure.
After the workday and all that stuff. So it's good.
All right. So my podcast producer, Sam's on, he's recording, so we can go ahead and fire away. Again, man, I appreciate your time so much. I know it's precious. And I want to start with a moment where you had a little too much time, I assume. The pandemic. You release album 4, just, Tullahoma right before the pandemic.
Yeah.
So here you are, you got this brand new record out. You can't tour to support it as COVID shuts down the whole globe. How would you describe that experience for you and your folks?
I think I handled it pretty well. It was just a lot of uncertainty because as a furthermore than a songwriter and an artist, I'm a CEO of a business that has about 23 families that depend on it right now. So it was just tough kind of navigating those waters in something that I never dreamed I would have to do, which is let go, of people and just try to figure out how to keep everybody as whole as we could until we got back to working, which we're doing right now. So it's trying to figure out how to bridge those gaps, and a lot of new challenges came with that, just figuring out how to be a leader and keep everybody on the same page whenever I didn't know what the heck was going on at the same time, but try and keep everybody's spirits high and channel the lack of being able to go out and do what we love into something else, and so and helping those guys and girls through all those transitions, man. We were very it just blew me away at what work everybody picked up, because some of us on the team just decided let's hang out for the year. Others picked up different jobs. We're hired on by anything from Amazon construction crews, starting to teach music lessons. So Yeah, it was great. It was a great year of learning and also about myself. I think um, I'm going to be okay. If this is all taken away from me one day, being able to see that I can uh, enjoy life outside of being on the road constantly, which has been the case for the past 15 years.
How did you find that joy? And where did you find that joy?
Um, it was a bit of a forced stand into diving into exactly where all the finances were moving because as we tour, everything's moving fast, and I'm not in this for the money, and none of us are. We're in it for the music, and the love of seeing that reaction on people's faces and that connection in our shows. So I was really forced to dive into that, where money was going and moving, and it allowed me to kind of find a new passion of mine. And Nashville's a great real estate market right now, so I actually got into a little bit heavier into real estate last year because of the break and just having a little extra energy to put into that.
That's cool. Selling it, buying it. What were you
Buying it,
doing?
selling it, flipping it, all the good stuff. Yeah.
Man, that's cool. Yeah, I can't imagine. It's you're so right. I mean, we all get into this. Like my normal job is I work at ESPN, right? That's what I do. I cover everything for ESPN. And when you're in this moment where it's unprecedented, where these gathering points that offer such beautiful energy, whether it's full stadiums, whether it's full shows for you guys, for example, that's something that we're just used to it. And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden it's gone. So I wonder what you learned about the privilege and the luxury and the opportunity to play by having that passion stripped from you.
Well, I think what I learned is how much my world revolves around the excitement, joy, and anticipation of.
Mhm.
I call it a drug. It's an adrenaline rush of some sort that we get when we hit the stage. I think it's the same rush that I felt whenever I got to run out of the tunnel at the swamp with my dad. To do the coin toss years ago. I don't know. There's some sort of, you can't really describe the high it is, but I think you know years and years of getting that high every weekend, pretty much every single weekend,
Mhm.
um, and now coming back to running out of the tunnel, if you will, on the stage. After not doing it for a year. It's tough right now. The first few songs in my show right now are really challenging for
Little
me because I'm
dicey.
so jacked up and jittery. My voice is shaking. And it's not a nervous thing, like I'm nervous to be up here. It's just you're jacked up, it's game day and it's on. And I guess my whatever receptors that collect all that aren't used to firing that hard like they used to be. But it's a lifeblood. I think I do say, there's a reason all of us guys are on stage. I think we're put on this earth to be on stage and entertain uh, people, and that's why we've had this desire to keep grinding for years and years of uncertainty. The music industry is a tough go. There's a lot of talent in Nashville and all over the place, and but it's just the passion that gets you through it and makes you want to continue to get better every single day. And that journey is what I love about it. I think we're not guaranteed another hit song. We're not guaranteed another invitation to come play a concert somewhere. So it's the constant grind to try and stay relevant and try and make sure that we're putting out product music um, that people want to come see us play.
We'll get into all the success you've had in a minute, but let's go back to the jump. What's the challenge of even getting noticed in that town?
Well, I think all of us, we come from, I don't say all of us, most people in Nashville that are chasing the music dream don't grow up in Nashville around the community. I've got some friends that have, and that's awesome. But most people are moving in from a smaller town. Uh, Usually their friends and family think they're, the best ever.
Of
So
course
they're
they
coming
do.
in. Yeah. I mean, I came to Nashville like, man, I've got a little album. All the girls in high school love it. I'm gonna move to Nashville and somebody's going to carry it. And you get to Nashville, man, there's 5,000 other people that moved to town the same year you did that are as good as you are, and it's a fun ride. I'm now to a point in my career where I'm having fun helping younger artists out. Like right now, I'm in contact with the guy out west that he's still in school, but he's really excited to try and move to Nashville and chase the dream. And so being in a position now to kind of help an out of towner navigate, moving to Nashville and chasing that dream is a lot of fun. But it's a pretty easy formula. You've got to be in Nashville if you want to do country music. In my opinion, you got to move here first and just embrace the creative community, and you'll end up finding a class of writers, a class of artists, just like you would in the hallway of a high school. And it's kind of your clique and your crew, and you start kind of navigating and finding success all at the same time. And for myself, it was John Party, Thomas Rhett, Kip Moore.
I love all those guys. That's awesome.
It's fun that you kind of find your clique, and everybody kind of starts getting noticed at the same time. I don't know what that is, but that's still just how this town works. So it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful town. I think I wouldn't change a thing about my past. I moved to Nashville not knowing anything about the music industry, except I wanted to play on the Grand Ole Opry and go play at the Bluebird Cafe again. And that's all I knew about it. So I had to just kind of jump in head first and figure it out.
All right. So we're going to go down that path. I know you went to Lipscomb, right?
Yeah.
Why?
I went to Lipscomb. I think it was.
You were going to be Dr. Lynch? You studied biology, right?
Not initially. Yeah, I did. I got to Lipscomb because of a golf scholarship. I was actually, I was committed to go to Middle Tennessee State, and my sister was on the golf team there, but I didn't get an offer from them. And last minute, I got a call from the head coach at Lipscomb and offered me a decent enough scholarship to where I could afford to go to Lipscomb. And then I grew that into a full ride year two, because I came in and played really well my freshman year. So I ended up getting a full ride. Heck, that was back in the day whenever we could get more than a full ride, and you had a little cash on the side to go spend on housing or clothes or whatever it was. If you channel it the right way, you could do that. So that was fun. And that honestly, that opportunity allowed me to be in Nashville and learn. I don't think I would have picked it up as quick as I did if I would have gone to MTSU, because that's 45 minutes down the road from Nashville. And just not being around Broadway and able to go to these different songwriter open mics and things that I was able to do in college, on top of that's a whole nother deal. Starting a cover band and playing all over the Southeast was literally because I was able to live in Nashville and go to college there.
As much as I studied for this interview, I didn't know anything about the golf part of your life.
Yeah.
When did you start playing golf? How'd that unfold?
Well, my dad played for the Florida Gators. He played football. And then
he did. Wait a minute. Wait.
He actually played with Collinsworth. He and Collinsworth live right now.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So he was a Gator. He picked up wanting. I just realized I don't know why in the world he chose to come up here and try to do an assistant pro job. But my granddad was in Nashville preaching. He had a full-time preaching gig and counseling gig here, and so Dad, after college, decided he wanted to get closer to family, and came up here and got an assistant pro job at Bluegrass Country Club right up the street in Hendersonville, Tennessee, from Nashville. And then he got a head pro job down in my hometown of Tullahoma. So he was the country club teaching pro, and it was kind of a deal we had. He's like, dude, you can either get a job or you can play golf and try to get a scholarship and help me out around the pro shop. So
how good did you get?
What's that?
I mean, obviously you got good enough to get a full ride to Lipscomb, but what was your handicap?
Yeah, I did. No, I had a really strong senior year. I think that's probably why my offer came in late. I went into the regionals and won by 7 shots, and then I had a blow up in the state and didn't play that well. But I was scratch. I mean, I was probably at one time a plus. I would say +1, +2.
Was the tour ever on your? Did you ever think about going on a tour?
I did, and I actually got to play with a couple of guys that are having success out there. They were always. I never had coming down the stretch. I never could figure out what they figured out, and I don't know if that was how to manage the adrenaline. Or I don't know what it was. There was a mental block I had coming down the stretch to where those guys seemed to excel and make the putts, and I couldn't make the putts. And but I had music. Even in high school, music was something that was more fun to me, because every time you teed it up on stage, you win. Where golf, not always the case.
Very rarely, in fact.
Yeah, what I love about golf, it's all on you. You know, you can't blame anybody else but yourself. But yeah, you don't always win out there, and on stage, it was always a win. So that's probably why I kind of just felt like chasing that a little bit more. And to be, I mean, completely honest, being in college and playing music at a bar and getting paid to play music at a bar, or a frat house, or a sorority is just awesome. I mean, that was an awesome way to make rent. And so it just became something I grew, you know, I already had a passion for it, but I was like, this is the best job on earth. I get to go party with college girls and get paid for
It is the best job on earth. I'm jealous. If I had it to do, I'm a very blessed man, Dustin. I don't want much back, but if I had it to do over again, I would have at least tried songwriting. And I'll tell you why. Because I'm a writer by trade. That's where I started. Of course, it's sports writing. It's a different type of writing, but nonetheless, if anything worth its salt is vulnerable, and that's most certainly the case in songwriting. I think there's only a handful of professions that can save lives. Doctors, right? Paramedics,
it.
songwriters.
Yep.
I think songwriters can save lives. I'm living proof. It's happened to me.
Yep.
And I would love for a piece of work that I did to have that impact on somebody. And you've experienced that. What's it
Yeah.
like when somebody walks up to you in the grocery store or the meet and greet line or out at the golf course and goes, "Hey man, I need to talk to you for a minute. Cowboys and Angels, man, that's my wife and me." What's
Yeah.
that like?
Well, it's something I didn't expect, to be honest with you. I knew music affected me that way. I didn't realize that I would ever be able to hold a pen and write a song, create something that, you know, like you said, saves people's lives or brings people together or gets them through some sort of crazy deployment. The Cowboys and Angels being my first single, really, you know, it was a song that touched a lot of people. I wrote that song from an honest point. It's inspired by my grandparents' love story. They're high school sweethearts and still married and still get to come to shows, and it's an awesome thing. But it caught me off guard, to be honest with you. You know, to have someone come lay that on you, I mean, it's heavy, and be my first lap around the country playing my music, and to have these stories start coming at me in meet and greet lines or on social media or whatever. Um, it's just it's so inspiring. I think as a young artist, I had initial success, and then we had a couple uh, of releases to where it didn't live up to what Cowboys and Angels was, because that song was such a career defining,
Monster,
changing
monster, man.
monster, yeah, for me. But I think hearing those stories and seeing how music could potentially inspire so many people allowed me to get through those tough times. You know, that second and third follow up, and kind of find who I was and who I wanted to be. And now I make music to specifically try and create a good time, you know, for people. I think live venues, you know, sports and music, um, they're so important to life, you know, and people and getting people through everyday life. It gives people something to save up for, to look forward to. And so now we make music. Myself and my creative team, we specifically make music to make sure that, you know, when people come to our shows, they're going to be smiling, dancing, and happy to be there, you know, and want to come do it again and just share that joy. So, yeah, I mean, you really do. I mean, that's kind of where I create from, is how's this going to affect someone's feelings and make them feel whenever they come see us at a live show or they're riding in the truck or wherever.
Who were
Is
some
it
of the
going to put a
people
smile
that
on their face
who were some
and
of the
help them?
people that did that for you? As a, like
Gosh,
who
you
were
know,
your
I think
heroes?
I easily, you know, the guy that reminds me most of childhood is Alan Jackson. You know, Garth Brooks was a mega hero to me, and George Strait. Those three guys, I would say, were probably the staples. But all that '90s country, man,
Me
was
too.
was so. I don't know. It's the soundtrack to my life, and you know, being blessed to be doing this now for a decade. It's crazy. I met a guy out the other night, and actually a girl. Both came up to me. I was out with some friends, and both come to me. He's like, "Man, you know, this song and middle school or high school." I'm like, "Golly, am I that old?" You know, I don't feel like I am. But I've got people you know, that are out on the town right now and going, "Man, this song in middle school." But yeah, just to be a soundtrack of somebody's memories, you know, of getting them through a great time or a tough time is it's just awesome, man. It's the greatest reward there is in what we do.
90s country is the greatest era. I'm with you on that. I'm older than you,
Yeah.
but it's a soundtrack of my life too. It was my high school years and into college. And I've had the great blessing of interviewing Travis Tritt, interviewing, guys from that era, and Kix Brooks, and like being able to sit with them and learn about what they did and how they did it and what that era was like. In the class of '89, AJ, Gar, Travis and Clint and all those guys. It's just like, they're like gods. I mean, they're gods to me, but that's cool that you love it too.
I got to do, I accidentally ended up in Nebraska at a Tracy Lawrence and Clay Walker show. We were out there on a hunting trip, and we had a night off. We finished up, and we're waiting to get back to Nashville. And I just Googled what to do in Omaha tonight, and freaking Tracy Lawrence and Clay Walker were in town.
No way.
Immediately I'm on the phone trying to figure out who's their tour manager, how can we get in. We were at dinner and just said, cancel dinner, we're going to the show. And ended up getting a hold of, they luckily hadn't hit the stage yet. Clay and Tracy both texted me back. And man, just got to go. That was my first concert back since we got pulled off the road.
So this just happened.
This just happened. This happened in like third week of May.
Awesome.
My first concert experience back. And I get to hang out with freaking Tracy Lawrence and Clay Walker, both heroes of mine. And they're just so kind. And the fact that, I could jump up on their bus and they know my music, and we get to talk about how'd you get this sound on the snare in the studio, and just all that stuff, man, is just so, that was such a special night, and the coolest welcome back to concerts for me. I got to join as a fan. I didn't think that would be the case. I thought my first show back would me being taken the stage, but I got to go and hang out, in front of the stage with those guys and watch the greats do it. I mean, we forget how many hits those guys have till you see them live, and you go, man, they didn't get to play half of their stuff. Yeah, I mean back in the day, the chart at radio was moving so fast. I mean, they were able to put out 3 singles a year, like it was nothing. Right now we're at about 1, if you're lucky, 2 a year as artists. So, man, it's a fun show, and that was a great welcome back to the live music scene with 2 heroes of mine.
It's almost surreal because, especially for a guy like you, when they know your work. I mean, I just interviewed Clay on this exact podcast, I don't know, a couple of weeks back. And I'm going to interview Tracy Lawrence in Nashville, July 13th.
All right.
I can't wait. Oh yeah. I mean, like, God, they're like absolute legends. It's so fun.
They are. It's great. I don't know. I think when you move to this town, just trying to get close enough to ask them a question is the goal, and fast forward a handful of years and some hits, and we're on the bus talking about snare sounds in the studio and how we got them, and it's cool how, certain things line up and those walls kind of just break down. At the end of the day, everybody's just a guy like we are, man, trying to make great music and have fun doing it.
So you were talking about the Opry earlier, and the moment that you got the invite, that video is just spectacular. And it really is to me, you seem speechless.
Oh yeah.
And you don't know what the hell to say. You got Reba McEntire holy smokes, inducting you into the Opry. What was that moment like for you as she's standing there and she's sharing her own experience, being a little 7-year-old Reba, watching the Opry herself, and now you're joining this family with Porter and all the way up the lineage of this, the ultimate country music accomplishment?
Yeah, it was shocking to me because I didn't know Reba was going to be there. I told my team, I'd been to the Opry long enough to know that someone's going to come out and do the induction. I told my team, I want to be surprised. I don't care who it is, but I would rather just be surprised and freaking Reba McEntire walks out. So yeah, I was speechless, and very emotional. I had to collect myself. It meant so much to me that, that person, whoever that person was going to be, took time out of their lives to come be there for me on my special night with my friends and family in the house. And man, it was the coolest night, and still is, I think, of all time in my life, just having everybody there, be a part of it. It was funny too, because I came off stage all jacked up. My family's over there on the side stage. No one gave a crap about me, man. They all wanted a picture of
I want to meet Reba.
Yeah, they're like, we'll talk to you about an hour or two. But I can't thank her enough. That was so special. And yeah, like you said, for her to share her story and get emotional about it and tear up. I was, the floodgates open whenever she started crying. I was done for. But it just shows you how much it means. I mean, it's Reba McEntire, and that's how much it means to her. You know, she's conquered literally everything I think you can in the entertainment industry, and that still is a pinnacle in her career. And like you said, to join that family is just so special, and I just want to continue to make the Opry proud, and continue to be a part of what's growing. Last year, 2020 was a huge year for the Grand Ole Opry, because it was a way for people to still consume live music, and one of the only ways to do that. And it was great timing for what happened with their network, and the reach we had as an Opry family to the whole world last year was huge and special. And man, it is. It doesn't feel real still. To sit on stage. My first Opry back after they pulled us off the road was with Trace Atkins and Blake Shelton. It's just us three sitting on stage. Like, what am I doing here? you know, but it's definitely the proudest accomplishment in my career so far. I can definitely say that.
All right. So proudest accomplishment in your career. Let's discuss that arc, because what would young Dustin, who moved to town, have called success, and how has that definition evolved over time?
Yeah, it's evolved greatly. I think initial success would be to land. I mean, I think back to doing everything I possibly can to figure out how to land a gig on Lower Broadway in a honky tonk on a Tuesday at 2 p.m. And that happening. Holy cow, mom and dad, you won't believe it. I'm getting to play on Broadway. And now like we just spoke, to be a member of the Grand Ole Opry, I think there's goals. I think, I still have a set of goals that I would love to achieve, and my team is aware of. And, we continue to try and make the right steps and put out the right songs to get there. But success has changed in my mind. I think I learned a lot out on my first tour with Keith Urban. And
Like what?
it was watching a guy who still is. I mean, he's a rock star in every sense of the word. And it was just watching him be so regimented in his art and the way he operates on the road, to be in tip-top shape on stage, put on the best show he can every night. So success for me, I think, has evolved from having a hit song, getting a tour, to now it's personal battles each day for me, and getting better and making sure that I'm trying to do the right things every single day to put on the best shows I can put on, and it's easy to sit back and go, yeah, we're going to go on tour and show up and play a show. But, to really challenge yourself to take that show to the next level every night, to be in the best physical shape you can, voice wise. And there's a lot of challenges that go with that. You have to say no to a lot of things in life to be in the absolute best shape, to put on the best shows you can. I think I learned a lot about that and those battles from touring with Keith, and being around one of the best entertainers we have in country music, and seeing how that's accomplished every night.
So let's talk about the current projects and everything you have going on right now. Thinking About You is doing great. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So I'm intrigued by the life of the single, Dustin, right? So you cut it with Lauren first, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've learned a lot with this song. I really have.
Yeah. Explain that. What have you learned?
Well, to do a collab, a legit collab, and try to choreograph the release of that has been an eye-opening experience for me, because I didn't realize how many stars had to line up. I'd seen friends release duets, and it feel like, oh, they just wanted to do a song and they put it out. Well, Lauren and I went into this knowing it would be a challenge because of how her release schedule was lining up with mine.
Sure.
But I said, look, we had been on tour for a year together. She had come out and sang with me every night. Our voices were, for whatever reason, they just worked together great. And so I was like, Lauren, look, I'll be patient. Just know I want to put this song out to country radio. I think it's going to be big. So she goes, I'm in. Just, work with me. We'll get through it. We'll figure out how to do it. So the album comes out and it skyrockets. It's something that you can't plan. And we go, oh crap. This thing is reacting. We hit the road last year. I think before before the pandemic hit, we had 10 shows or something. And when I was playing at my shows, this is only a couple weeks after the album's out, and it's bringing the house down. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we have to figure out how to put the song out. And we just could not get our release schedules to line up, get our teams on the same page. So I asked her, after waiting, it was about a year, and realizing it's probably not going to happen. I asked her if I could go in and re-record the song with someone else that could release it, whenever it was good for my release schedule. And she said, absolutely. And she was actually very helpful in trying to find, what vocal she thought would work on it. And we really didn't come up with a good answer. So I submitted to Nashville, to all of the teams that we know well. Hey, do you have any young acts that would like to submit a version of Think About You, and can release it, during this window? And we got 6 or 7 submissions in, and I had all the names removed before I got to look at them and listen. So they're literally just numbers. I didn't want to be persuaded based on if I knew the artist or not. And my initial reaction was to the version that everybody knows now, with Mackenzie Porter. And I lived with him for a couple of weeks and played him for friends and family, and everybody kind of gravitated towards 2 versions. Majority landslide, though, was Mackenzie's version. So thank goodness. It was an easy decision on that end. So then I got to discover who Mackenzie is. I had really no idea who she was. I'd heard the name, but I didn't realize that she's a super successful actress. I had no idea she had the success she had in Canada as an artist. And then on top of that, she's one of the hardest working songwriters in town. She works her tail off. So we're having a blast. Just getting to do music and put a song out it's a fun ride. It's a scary ride. But now to have a younger artist that hasn't had a big release like this yet, and watch her excitement as these milestones are happening for us. This song is my fastest rising single of my career. And she's texting me like, "Hey, is this normal?" And I'm going, "Not for me." To get all these crazy stats that we're having on this song of people seeking this song out is just mind blowing. And it's so exciting now that everything's opening back up and we're getting hit the road with, and the anticipation of playing this song and the reaction to this song every night is something I really look forward to.
So you talk about being a decade in, right? There's been a tremendous evolution of how music is consumed during that decade.
Yes.
How does that change the philosophical approach kind of to the way you do your business now that your Spotify's and your Apple Music's and all that stuff?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a great question, and a discussion I honestly have on a weekly basis with my team. I think we're all learning, and even amongst us fellow artists. We're talking with Thomas Rhett the other night about, just strategy on how people consume music, and looking at how I consume music. And I think you can kind of see our release schedules evolving, through the years, because we're trying to figure out, okay, what's too much, what's not enough. You don't want to put out too many new songs and confuse everybody on what they're going to hear at your shows, but at the same time, you want to put out enough to where they're not bored with it and forget about you either. So what we've found right now is a balance of just having multiple, I don't know, I'll call it ships at sea, all kind of sailing in the same direction. And it's exciting for us as songwriters because it's not, when I started creating, it was an album every 2 years. So like right now, I just finished last week recording what I think will be for the album. So 10 years ago, I would be done worrying about songs, not worrying about them, but for at least a year and a half, probably. And now with the way things are being done, I can go in and write a song next week, record it and put it out. So it's exciting as a songwriter to go in and know that you're in the game year round now. Where that wasn't the case. I think 10 years ago, you kind of had your phases of, all right, now let's go tour for a year and we'll think about music in a year or so. But yeah, we're at a spot where we're going to be very versatile. I think put different songs out on different platforms if they make sense. We have a song out right now called Tequila on a Boat that just made sense to put out for the summer months. And, just driving around on the lake here in Nashville and hearing boats drive by playing that song is the coolest thing ever. And it's because of the round to put out, more than just a single at country radio.
Couple more. I've kept you too long already, brother. I appreciate the time.
I'm having a blast.
Another aspect of all that's new is social media and TikTok and Instagram and all that. And where does that kind of fit in your equation?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm kind of in the class of artists where we had, I guess when I first started, Twitter was about all we had, Twitter and Facebook. And we have watched this whole new world, outside of music develop that now we have to be present on and a part of. I think it's just like your song coming on the radio. It reminds country music fans that you exist, and maybe they'll recognize you when you come to town and want to come hang with you. So I kind of fell in love with showing a deeper side of my life through vlogs that we would do, kind of chop up on our different outlets and just spread them out. But what I realized, I kind of selfishly did it, just taking people on for the ride and wanting to document this journey to look back on in decades from now. We've got a lot of great footage on how, different albums, songs were created, and then further than that, learning how to surf and learning how to farm again. And just all the crazy journeys we get to go on outside of being on stage and taking our fans along for that ride. And I realized that connection started happening pretty quickly after we started putting those vlogs out of fans coming up and really relating to me more of as a person than just a dude singing songs. That and I could tell that just based on our meet and greets before and after shows where they'd have a story about anything from hunting, fishing, eating burgers, whatever it may be, that we were jazzing at the time. And just that connection with our core fans is a great thing, I think. And also being able to take a temperature of what moments of our shows people react to. There's a reason someone gets their phone out and records a moment and puts that out for their following and their friends to see. And I think as artists, it's a great tool to be able to go, okay, why did they take a video of this part of the show consistently and not that part of the show, and what's triggering that? And as many times as I can get somebody's phone out of their pocket and them try to make their friends jealous that aren't there, that's a great thing. But I use it like that. I use it as a tool, and then the connection of having, we get requests every single day. It's such a fun thing for me to do. Birthday shout outs and wedding shout outs and
Sure.
and to be able to be a part of someone's first dance. Now I can just literally put my phone up in the living room and play their song and shoot it to them over social media. Now they get to have their dance to me singing and in their wedding is just so cool. So I mean, there's so many great benefits to social media and that direct connection we have with our fans.
All right, I want to go back real quick to your dad playing in Florida.
Yeah.
So you grow up in Central Tennessee. Are you a Florida fan?
Oh, I'm a closet Florida fan growing up.
I would say you must be.
Well, the rivalry, back those years, the rivalry
was rowdy.
Yeah. I mean, I would have got my butt kicked at school if I would have won the Gators. Now ever since Fulmer's eased out of there, it's not really, they're not that passionate anymore. You see a lot more Florida gear in Tennessee, but back then there was my close friends knew I was a Gator, but outside of that, I wasn't rocking any Gator gear. But now I'm okay with wearing some. But yeah, Dad was he was a walk-on. He played defensive back, and I love the camaraderie he has with his fellow players still. And they still trash talk, and they're still really passionate about Florida Gator football. And just having, game day commentary from Collinsworth and all of his buddies on a thread of, it's usually complaining about something.
Of course it is, man.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It doesn't matter how much they win. They're mad about some defensive coach or something, but it's a lot of great insight, and I just love that passion is still there for those guys 30 years later for the Florida Gators.
I imagine that guy throwing that shoe last fall against LSU probably didn't go over.
No.
That's great.
some choice words were had on that day.
Well, look, brother, I appreciate the insight and the time and sharing your life with us so much. We're huge fans. We appreciate what you do. Hopefully get out to a show real soon.
I would love to have you guys anytime. And I look forward to hanging out. Thank you for having me on. It means a lot that you would think of me to be a part of this. So thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. Be well. Enjoy July 4th.
All right. Y'all too. See you guys.
I always am so grateful when these guys and gals give us their time, because their time is so precious. And to learn about the perspectives that they gleaned by having their passions stripped from them during the COVID-19 pandemic, to re-immerse themselves in that energy, to be able to have that amazing energy exchange with their fans. It really infuses me with a lot of that energy, even though right now, because I'm doing it on Zoom and probably sitting about 800 or 900 miles away from where Dustin was there in his living room there at Old Hickory Lake in Nashville, Tennessee, just outside of town. I do want you guys to know this. We have a bunch of unbelievable episodes coming. I am heading to Nashville in mid-July. We have a brand new state-of-the-art studio being completed right now at Outsider Media headquarters in Brentwood. And I am going to interview songwriting icon, probably, if you asked his peers, the best songwriter in town, Casey Beathard. I'm interviewing him. I'm interviewing Tracy Lawrence. I'm interviewing Chase Rice. And I'm interviewing Trace Adkins. And I can't wait to sit in a room with those guys and, back to energy exchanges, actually feel the energy exchange with them. Be able, I look Dustin Lynch in the eye while we're doing this on Zoom, but it's different when you're in the same room with them. And I'm so looking forward to spending time one-on-one with these people that I admire so greatly. As I just said to Dustin right there, I think songwriting is one of those professions and one of those talents and one of those gifts that can save a life. I know, because it happened to me. Anybody that knows about my friendship with Eric Church knows that his work did that for me. And so to be able to sit with Casey and learn about how he hones his craft and the unbelievable path that he's had. Anybody that knows anything about him knows his father is Bobby Beathard, the architect of the Washington football team's 1980s Super Bowl dynasty behind Joe Theismann and Joe Gibbs. He grew up in the game. I can't wait to talk to him about that. I can't wait to talk about his triumphs and his tragedies. He's had many of both. I also can't wait to sit with Chase Rice, who is a great friend of mine, played football at the University of North Carolina, was on Survivor, has had an unbelievable life path to this current success he's achieving and enjoying in Nashville. And Tracy Lawrence and Trace Adkins are icons in the industry, both of whom have shaped my life through their work. So it's going to be fun. I can't wait to sit in the same room with those guys. Thank you guys so much for supporting this project. We are just getting started at Outsider. July 1st is going to be a very special day for us. I can't wait for you guys to see why. Thank you for listening. This is the Marty Smith Podcast on Outsider Media. We appreciate you. Subscribe, rate, and review as much as you can. Tell all your friends about it, because we're growing something special here. Be well. Enjoy July 4th. We live in the greatest land in the world. We are free. I can't wait to spend more time with you guys on this platform. Thank you. This is the Marty Smith Podcast on Outsider Media. Be well, everyone.